I'm revisiting the Rondo movement of the K545. I notice it's sort of like a comic opera opening where you have these descending thirds that are very spunky and detached, and then followed by an interspersed longer stream of 16th notes that you can inflect nicely in the vocal model. And then you're back to these little thirds that go back and forth between the hands or overlap. And then in between again you have longer streams of 16th notes that are legato. So you're going from detached notes to long streams of interspersed legato that you have to learn to render with a supple wrist and flowing arms. So in the beginning, the conversation really, isn't it? The conversation with the ha 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 ha, and then ya da 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 answer. And when I do these long streams of 16th, I make sure not to have tappy fingers, but I group the notes and I use my wrist to help create inflections. So you get more of that kind of waves that go through it by letting your wrist roll through it. You know, after you get that first section done, which is a question and answer between the hands, between the detached notes, the comic opera at the beginning and then the answer, then you go to this next section in G major where he puts an F sharp in. And you have broken chords in the left hand, which I always block. This is G major. It goes into the dominant key of C major. This is G major. Then it goes to, for a moment, a secondary dominant of G major, which leads us to its dominant of D. That's just very short-lived. The left hand is doing rolling motion. And I do hear through that broken chord bass, I hear a fundamental bass, which is the first note of every 4/16ths. And that makes it more cohesive and more better phrasing, as opposed to a lot of busy work between the fingers on the broken chords. So that's why you group them and you think of the underlying bottom note. When you break it, you roll your wrist, as I showed you. Meanwhile, on the right hand, you have much more animation, and you have basically the soloist upstairs, because these are just harmonic broken chords downstairs, which is characteristic of Mozart to have the broken chord bass or the Alberti bass, with a more interesting melody on top, one that you're bringing out. Now it gets a little more animated with the 16ths and on the top voice by having interspersed legato with some staccato repeated notes. So you get this. Now we're back to rolling in fours, and I'm actually rolling in fours without lifting my hand every 4. Because sometimes in Mozart you see a slur of 4, then you see another slur as if your hand has to lift between that, but that's not what you do. You go across with the legato, but you think in dips, so to speak, of 4s, which makes it very Mozartian. So together you keep the left hand quieter here. And you're back to the rolling motion 16. Inflecting. Then rolling 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the left hand is just broken octave. A third and an octave. First time. Then you're back to roll and answer. Answer. Minor. A minor. Now you're in A minor for several lines here, and you're rolling, and then you'll have a poggiatura. Rotation, dominant, tonic, dominant, tonic. So rolling to there and there it is. Meanwhile, you can hear what's coming out. To bum, 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 yep. 6, which are inverted thirds. Poggiatura. This is a Neapolitan chord of A minor. What you have here is lots of rotation. I go to the second note of 16th. See where I go? D, E, F. So I don't give accents on the first of the 16ths there, but I roll around to the second one. Some people do a complete crescendo there, and some pull it back a little. Then you're back to it. Goes back to the broken chord bass. You can always block. So of course, we're in C major. Come back to the home key. The left hand bottom note is fa, mi, fa, mi, fa, sol, do. Which has to be rolling left hand and very much softer than the right hand. That's going to be just lots of undulating wrists there and light arms. This hand has more of the in and out of the arm weight because it's got all the activity upstairs of the melody. So the fingering I use here is very tricky, but I devised a good fingering. The two hands are playing together. 2, 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5. Then I shift over. 3, 5 on the top. 4, 3, 4, Bum, bum, bum. Left hand. 2, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 1, and rest, and 5, and rest, and 2, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 1, and rest, and then we octave. Bum, bum, octave, back. So together here we have resolve it in the keys and rolls. Resolve, but to this. Go to that chord. You don't give a stab at the downbeat, but that springboards up to the chord. Fours.